Sims, let's go.
Hello, everyone. It's your girl, Miracle Sims, and you're watching the GSL Talk Show. Tonight, we're going to be chatting with Mr. Josh Poteet, and he's going to be teaching us a little bit more about parenting. So stay tuned. Welcome back to the GSL Talk Show. I'm here with Mr. Josh Poteet. How are you doing?
I'm good, Miracle. Thanks for having me on.
Yes, sir. Thank you for coming today as well. Let's kick it off with you telling me where you're from and a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I grew up in Florida, but I live in West Hartford, Connecticut with my bride and our two kiddos. And we've been here for about 2 years. So we're still trying to figure out what this white stuff on the ground in winter is. We're working through it, but it's been a gift to be here. I'm a lead pastor of a church in West Hartford and also an author of a book, and really just trying to take kingdom ground wherever I am.
Awesome. Well, we got to hear all about the transition and everything like that. But yeah, that was cool, man. I mean, I don't know if obviously you see all my colors and whatnot. I'm in children's ministry myself. We go have kids camping.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? So
that's awesome. I'm sure they love it.
Yes. They got like a little sneak peek yesterday. So yeah, it's been a blessing to work in ministry. So I would love to, hear all about your journey and whatnot. So did you always know that you were going to be doing this, or how did God put you in position?
Well, what tends to happen for me, Miracle, is I get in an arm wrestling match with God, which if you know anything about God's biceps, I lose every time. But for whatever reason, I come kicking and screaming. So I actually, before ministry, had a whole plan. I was serving in the Army National Guard. I was going to get deployed. That was part of what I wanted. I was also serving EMS. I wanted to be a firefighter, so it was right on track. My bachelor's degree was in, it was a public service administration bachelor's, which really fits into the fire department. Like this is what you want to do. And so I had all the boxes checked and I loved it. And all the while this ministry thing kept coming up. I had a buddy who was discipling me and he was like, hey, you should really consider that. He works for a church. It's like, you should consider this. And I was like, dude, I love doing ministry as a volunteer. Like, that's what I'm called to. I'm crushing it. I love it. God's showing off. And that started a dialogue with God where like it turned out, and it wasn't my intent, but it turned out I was being unfaithful in taking my plans and prioritizing them over what God had for me and who he created me to be, which was frustrating for me because I was like, God, like I've been moving so far over here, and he's like, yeah, you're moving to Tarshish, you need to go over here to Nineveh, this is where I'm calling you. And then meanwhile, my bride, we were like newly married. This dialogue happened a month after getting married, and Jennie, like, just abounding grace for me because stuff like this seems to be the theme of my life. And so we had this dialogue, and she's like, I did not marry a pastor. Like, that wasn't the plan. And I was like, this wasn't my plan either. And lo and behold, it started this journey where I did young adults ministry and student ministry. And we actually moved to Houston, Texas for a season for about 5 years, where I was a student pastor, got promoted to be the next gen pastor there. And then ultimately started this dialogue with the lead pastor over there about, hey, again, people are bringing this up. They say I should consider this. They have no idea what they're talking about. Like they just know a lead pastor means they teach, and they like the way I teach. There's so much more. I told my lead pastor, I was like, I know I am far too immature for that role right now. So we need to figure this out. If God's calling me to this, we need to prepare. It started a 2-year process where he started inviting me into conversations I had no business being a part of unless I was stepping into a new role, and ultimately led to where I am now in West Hartford, and really a part of a church that has just been such a blessing to get to be here and just hit the ground running. And we moved here in part because New England, we heard it's a spiritual graveyard. And we're like, well, Jesus makes dead things alive. So let's go where the magic happens. And so we moved here with that intent, and it has been over and over again, God showing off in tremendous ways.
I mean, that sounds amazing. I think we all can relate to that. Like you said, that arm wrestling match with the Lord. I mean, I know I had my own journey as well. I was struggling in my single days, and obviously, long story short, I mean, those that watch the platform, they're like, oh, here she go tell her testimony again. But I don't know if you know or not, so I try to tell the people. But long story short, here I am with GSL because I feel like God used those things, which were my desires, to please him, but also wanting what I want as a woman, but then also being a single woman. Like, I just want to be married. Where's my husband at? All that stuff to then draw me nearer to him to say, okay, not only are you not ready and you need to get ready for that, what you say you want, but then at the same time, at that particular time, that's the first time I was asking God, like, okay, Lord, well, what is it that you want then? Because I thought that we were on the same page, but it seemed like we not. So we were like, what is it that you want? And here I am today, like you just said, like I'm working in the kids ministry and doing things like this online and stuff where I feel so content and I even it is so interesting because I'm in this place right now where I feel like I know something else. Like nobody's necessarily talking to me. Like you said, the people have been at different points saying like, "Oh, this is next for you" or whatever. No one's necessarily said that, but I, with everything that's been happening, it's like I think the Lord downloading that to me that something more is coming. I'm like, well, Lord, I'm fine just doing this. You know what I'm saying? Like we ain't even got to do nothing else. But just knowing that, okay, Lord, well, whatever you wanted to do, and I just been on this journey of just saying yes and just watching and seeing what he's going to do or whatever. And it's just been an amazing journey that I've been trying to encourage other people to do too. I'm like, hey man, just trust the Lord and let him do what he's doing versus that battle of like fighting against the Lord. And then what I was feeling at that time was like something's missing, something's wrong, something's missing, something's empty, all these different things. And then wondering what it was and thinking that it was love and marriage and all that. And don't get me wrong, like being on the other side of me and, having those things today, I'm definitely grateful for. I definitely don't want to go back to those other days. But I understand now what was really missing was that true relationship with Christ to where, I'm humbling myself to his will, his way, and all that good stuff. And so, like I said, I'm in a place of contentment now that I mean, obviously, I try to explain it, but at the same time, it's like unexplainable, like the Bible tells us, that passes with no understanding, things of that nature, that peace or whatever. And I'm like, y'all, like, especially with people that I guess I try to coach or even just friends or whatever, you're like, hey man, like this is all I did, and I think people expect that it's more like that. No, like really, I just humbled myself and said, okay, well, what do you want to do? And then next thing I know, here I am today at peace, and I'm like, if you want some, it's available. So yeah, it sounds like you're in that place too, of peace and contentment. Or am I wrong here? Are you at peace and content with the position the Lord has you in?
Yeah, I feel like it's peace and contentment, and then maybe a yearning or even like a discontentment of like, man, like I know I can be closer to you than I am right now. And so it's just a constant striving is not the word, but a constant movement in my life where I'm just like, man, how do I draw nearer to you? Because I know every step I take, he's taking a step towards me too. And there's just those moments, like maybe it's just me, but I have moments too where I'll take a step in the wrong direction, and I need him to step in and be like, "Hey, homie, you're missing it, Josh. You're doing your thing again, and I'm over here." And so it's just this constant process of trying to draw closer and closer to him. And so I'm so excited and content and at peace with where I am right now. but I have a holy expectation that I won't be in the same place tomorrow.
And I love that you brought that part up, because I think a lot of times people think about like that elevation, or like you said, maybe titles or whatever the case may be, but it's like, no, it's more so about the, I know I can get closer to you, God. I know I can understand.
Mm,
Like, I want to understand you more on this deeper level. Like, I often think about the biblical figures that we are studying and reading and stuff, and I'm like,
yeah.
they obviously had this relationship with God that we don't even fathom in our day and time. Like, I mean, we're trying to understand it and stuff, but I'm
Yeah.
like, and I'm like, can we get that? Like, at least that, or, even closer somehow. Like, I mean, and I guess they, in their day and time, I mean, they didn't, I guess, know us to the capacity that we know them, I guess, but I think there's something envious about us having like all this access and information in our pockets and all this
Yeah.
type of stuff that they didn't have, and all this, things that make our life much easier than what we hear and learn that the people before us and stuff. But it's just very interesting. It's like looking back on the people that seem just so right there with the Lord and being like, man, why can't we have that? And then knowing that we have all the access and ability, but then it's like we know ourselves even less than they did or something. That's a whole nother comment. You probably can't come just talk about your book.
Well, hey, no, I think you're bringing up something really important though, that we gloss over in church world, and we shouldn't. Is like, because we look at the disciples, the apostles, and we say, man, they were with Jesus, like they must have been on fire. They had it all together. They had it figured out. One, no one bumbles around more than one of Jesus's disciples, and two, like Matthew 28, one of the most famous passages in scripture, like the Great Commission, right? And we're all like, yes, like all authority is given to me, therefore go and make disciples of all nations. And we're like, yes, we got to do that. But we forget like the two verses prior, which is my favorite part. And it's where the disciples meet Jesus on a mountain where he called them to go. And it said, and they worshiped him, which makes sense. Like, dude called his death and resurrection and then pulled it off. But then there's a couple words at the end, and it says, "But some doubted." And I think we need to have just a realization that, man, like even then, it doesn't go into what they doubted or what they were wrestling through, and I don't think that was the point. The point being, like, there's no point while I've got flesh tied to these bones where I've arrived. Like it's going to be a constant battle of light and dark. And though victory is won in Jesus, the battles are still ongoing. And I need to have just a recognition that, man, like it's when I cover up my questions and my doubt, my insecurities, and my whatever, that I'm actually giving the enemy hold over things in my life versus casting them into the light and being willing to say in humility, like, man, I don't have this all figured out. I think that's one of like my roles as a lead pastor is to say, hey, there are things that I've got figured out. There are things that scripture says very, very clearly, and I'm going to hold anchored firm in. And there's other things that I am actively wrestling through, where like for me, pride, like that's my stumbling block. And if I'm not, like, I've got a battle plan against my pride, and if I'm not battling against it, I'm being taken by it. Like we're not there yet is the point. And the disciples are a great model of that, of like, we're not going to in this life.
Now I agree with that, and I think that like that's something that I've just had peace with. Not to like give that whole loophole to say, so don't work on yourself, or it don't matter,
Totally.
but also just to acknowledge that I don't think we're going to reach the level of perfection, and that's the reason why Jesus had to do what he did, because none of us would be able to do it. And so, I mean, I got peace in that today, that maybe years ago I didn't understand, or being like, or maybe, you're trying to do the right thing, or you're thinking like, I had not say you haven't sinned, because again, that's a lie, right? To act like you never sinned, but just, I know we as Christians often, people say hypocrites, right? Or they say you act holier than thou, and all these things that are put on us, which I guess all humans deal with or whatever, but just understanding that, what, even I feel like last year when I was kind of struggling with some different things and whatnot, and I think I got that look to see, like, even though I feel like I've grown, right, and matured and maybe got a little better understanding of different things, um, that I'm not perfect, right? And I'm not going to be
No,
perfect, but I'm not going to. But I think it's like the striving to be more like Christ is what we're supposed to
mm,
be doing, and understanding that I guess, like you say, in this life we may not achieve that level of perfection, but I think it's the
sure.
goal of every day, trying,
Yeah.
But I don't know, you the lead pastor. I'm just, saying elementary coordinator. I don't know.
No,
I'm just
but
trying to figure
you're
it out.
right. It's I would say it's less of striving to check the boxes, because we don't serve a checkbox Jesus, and it's
Mm,
more of like, if I am close to Jesus, I'm going to start
mm,
behaving like Jesus. It's just the reality. It's one of the things that
yeah.
we see. That's why we care so deeply about who our kids hang out with,
Mm,
because they are going to behave like the people they surround themselves with. And so if my goal is not doing the Jesus-y things, because I could like do all the things for Jesus and do it completely apart from Jesus. And I've done that.
mm,
Uh, and instead saying, hey, I'm going to be with Jesus. That's going to translate to the things that I do.
yeah. Yeah. But don't it feel so weird sometimes? Because even and this is before I guess I got these revelations that I'm talking about today, but like back when in my single days, one of the things I was dealing with a lot was people being like, oh, you're too nice, you're naive, and all these different type of things. But at the same time, I'm reading the Bible about this, unexplainable love for, for us and stuff like that, and
No,
this and feeling the call that I'm supposed to do that too, or whatever. You're like, well, how can I be too nice? Or how can I be? I mean, I think we all supposed to be doing this. Like, what do we, that type of
right.
thing. And then also feeling like, okay, well, there's boundaries and whatnot too. So trying to put those healthy boundaries up when it comes to situations and things. But I say all that to say that for me, that's like this example of like the things that are biblical, right? Or the things that's written, it seems like it's not right. You know what I'm saying? Or it seems like it's like, again, people question like, well, why don't God just do this? Or why don't God just do that? Or, and stuff. And it's like, well, you
Sure.
understand if he did this or that, like, for example, get rid of all the evil, then that pretty much means us, right? Y'all don't realize that. You know what I
Sure.
mean? But it's just, but it don't seem fair or right, like, to love the way he loves and to do those
Mm.
things, like, to actually live it out and do it. It seems like, no, you tit for tat, justice, or whatever, all the things, like,
But
so I
that's the
just,
thing,
yeah.
Miracle, is like we don't want justice. Like, justice is not what you or I want. Like, fair is the
Not for
opposite of
us,
what we
no.
want. We want grace. I just don't want grace for you, right? Like that's the tension, is like, yeah, Lord, give me grace, but everybody else,
Mhm.
they need to get their lives together.
Right.
And when I have like an understanding of my own brokenness, because that's really the struggle is, I diminish my own sin, and I magnify yours.
Mm-hmm.
And if
Mm-hmm.
I can get around that and also come to the realization that these are not new struggles, like this is why, like, the Jews of the time wrestled with Jesus showing up and not being the warrior king that they wanted. Like, they had expectations of like, hey God, you should do it this way. Hey God, you should let me be a firefighter and get deployed with the army and not have to worry about the struggles of ministry. Like, we all have our own roadmap and plans, and we need to realize, yeah, we're drawing that stuff in crayon, and Jesus is the one who actually understands and has the plan and has the one that's well thought out, and it is good for us, whether we realize it at the time or not. And if I can submit to that, and realize Jesus leads out an upside down kingdom, right? Like, that's why you're saying it doesn't feel right. It doesn't. Like, in the eyes of the world, it makes no sense. Turn the other cheek. What are you talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Like, give faithfully, like in the type of community where one was in need and the community wrapped their arms around them and said, we've got you. Or creating a widow's ministry, where at the time, like, a widow couldn't give anything back. Like, they at the contextual time that this was written, like, widows didn't have social standing, and on top of that, they didn't have a way to make money. Like, they couldn't offer the church anything back, and they were like, those are the ones, like the orphans, the widows, like those are the ones, we're the homeless, we're going to care for them. That's upside down, and that's the kind of kingdom that Jesus lived out. So no, it doesn't make any kind of sense in the eyes of the world, or even in the eyes of me sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
and yet over and over again. it's good.
It is. It is. I mean, there's so much to even just keep going with that. I mean, because we see the gaps in like homeless ministry. Even though I know there's a lot of, I'm not saying this. All I'm saying is
Totally.
when I say drive downtown or just drive around, you still see all the homeless people, and then you see all these vacant buildings. And I got my entrepreneur mindset or whatever. So for me, when I see the buildings, I'm like, what, something could be there. You know what I mean? Like,
Totally.
and stuff like that. And it just doesn't make sense, those things. And so but then when you read about the Bible, like you said, in that community of people that gave, they all gave, and then they all had, and stuff like that, I don't even know what that would even look like for real, like,
Yeah.
or and this is a concept I've played around with my mind every now and then, to be like, just doing a test one day and being like, let's get a group of people and just see, and let's like see what it even looks like to play out things the way the Bible tells us to do it. Like, actually, if you have an issue with someone, like, go through the process of what the Bible says for real. Like, try to talk to them. Okay,
Yep.
don't bring another person. Like, do that thing and see like what happens. But we're just, I don't know, like the disconnect. Or maybe it's just because we just want to do our own thing and we think we know better, or that
Yeah.
these are outdated ideals or whatever. But I mean, I don't know. I think it's worth exploring, or at least,
Oh, yeah.
at least if you say you're going to be a believer. That's all I'm saying. Like, for people that say they're
Mhm.
believers, like, why don't we do what it say? Like, I don't know. Like, I mean, I'm not trying to say I'm perfect with it or nothing, but I'm just, there has been times where I've had to kind of, like I said, set certain boundaries or let people know that, hey, man, my love has not changed for you at all. Like, I still consider you brother, sister, friend, whatever. But at the end of the day, like, if you're asking me to choose you or Jesus, I'm about to go with Jesus. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And, no
Right.
offense, I still love you. You know what I mean? But and stuff like that, and it can get difficult because I guess I know people don't always receive that and stuff. Some people have, I guess, but some people don't. And so then you're like, oh, well, I just was trying to be a friend, or I was just trying to like let people know that it doesn't matter. Like, I don't judge what people do or whatever. It's just, I have my own life and struggle to go through. So I don't judge you just because you're on your journey, but you can't expect me to co-sign and agree and everything that you do as well,
Yep.
especially if it's going against what I believe and stuff like that. And, it's just so interesting to me that everyone's okay with, standing for their thoughts, their belief, whatever. But then if someone else does the same thing, then it's like, oh, especially when it comes to the Bible, it's like, oh, wait a minute now, you Christians are. And I was like, I mean, well, you're doing your same thing, like, and I have no problem with you disagreeing with me,
Sure.
So that's a whole probably another conversation too, Miss Josh. By
It's good
itself,
though.
but, I mean, I
It's
don't know.
good.
These are the things I'm thinking about when it comes to, again, living this, or trying, right, to live like Christ and be like Christ, but then at the same time, and then say all these people saying they're doing that as well. That's a whole. You probably witnessed this on a whole nother level as a lead pastor, though. So
You know what though? I like these are the conversations that I think bear the most fruit, because as a society, and I'm including Christians in this, we have altogether lost the art of conversation, and we have really kind of built up an arsenal against people, so that as soon as you disagree with me, I view that as relational treason, which is not what it is. Actually, the healthiest relationships that we have disagreement. And I'm not talking about like biblical foundational stuff. I'm just talking any relationship is going to have, think about the person that you love the most and spend the most time with. You probably also engaged in the most conflict with them. Disagreement isn't a symptom of a lack of trust. It actually, like, open, healthy disagreement is a symptom of trust, because I know that if we disagree, I'm not risking the relationship on it. But we fully lost that, and so we've become these people who are far more interested in being more right. Like, I don't care if I'm right, I just need to be more right than you, which makes you more wrong, which means I win. Being more right and being more offended, because if I'm more offended, then clearly I'm on the right side. And the reality is, like, Scripture writes all kind, like James 1 talks about, like, human anger does not produce the righteousness of God. And yet we're just like these puffed up people ready to go to war. And it's like, hold on, like, we should be unoffendable as followers of Jesus. Like, we should say, you know what, like, man, that's a bummer that you chose to act that way, but I love you regardless. Now, the way that my love plays out might be different. You talked about boundaries, and that's real. Like, forgiveness is, I'm meant to forgive everyone. Trust, I'm meant to trust God. Like, that's vertical, meaning that the relational dynamic that could change. Like your kid keeps stealing money from your wallet. You can forgive them and stop leaving your wallet on the counter. Like, both, like, those aren't mutually exclusive concepts. And so I know this wasn't really the aim of what we were going to talk about, but super important. Like, because like if Christians, do you remember? I love bringing this up. Do you remember it was back in like 2012 when Starbucks stopped putting Christmas trees on their cups? And Christians everywhere lost their minds. Right? We were like, we're boycotting them, and it's just this. I think it's a symptom of what we're talking about. Is, man, like, one, Starbucks has never contended to be a Christian organization. Two, Christmas trees really aren't the same thing as Jesus's birth. And three, like, man, like, are we meant to be an offended people? Or are we meant to be a people who are so wrapped up in what Jesus did on the cross that, man, like, come on, like, what better hope could I have? Like, I don't need to place my hope in what you think or say of me. I certainly don't need to place my hope in what you paint on your cups. But we get offended just the same as everybody else.
I mean, yeah, this word offended, man, it's just like what happened to the days of like being okay to have healthy debate, or again,
Right.
agree to disagree. Like I'm totally fine. This makes me think about different conversations I've had on the platform. And, there was one conversation, and I guess the people will never see it, I guess. But long story short, there was this atheist gentleman that I interviewed, and he had me on his platform, and then I had him on mine. And I thought the conversation was great. Like I just thought it was like normal, regular, stuff or whatever. I know after our first conversation, when I was on his platform, he was like, "Oh, this went differently than I expected it to go." I'm like, I didn't expect it to go nowhere or whatever,
Sure.
Because I'm gonna be, I'm gonna treat you just like I treated him like I treat you, is what I'm saying. So I'm
Right.
like, I just was like, I understand that you believe what you believe or whatever, and I think we can have a conversation. I feel like we had some jokes about it or whatever, and I was fine with us just being regular or whatever. Things kind of took a little turn, I guess, when we try to have like regular conversations outside of the chat or whatever. And I guess maybe his real true colors came out or whatever, and then he wanted to kind of attack me and my stuff. But anyway, I guess I'll say all that to say again, like, we don't all have to agree here. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's okay. I think we're all trying to figure out and stuff like that, because there's a lot that we don't know. There's a lot that I believe to be true and things like that, especially when it comes to the Bible and stuff like that. But I've never been dead before that I know of. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, for sure. But I do believe that this is what the Bible says is what's going to happen. But I understand that, hey, I guess there's a 50-50 chance, and if you want to take the gamble, okay, and stuff like that. But yeah, we get offended, right? Instead of just being able to just talk and be able to say, hey, it's okay to, okay, you say what you said, I say what I said. I still treat you the same, still feel the same about you, and it's okay. But instead of being able to do that, like you said, for some reason in these days and times, we just are so connected but disconnected at the same time.
Yeah.
So I know you look like, well, I mean, so I do wonder, like, have you always been a believer, and like kind of did you just grew up in the faith and that type of thing, or did you have like what was your come to Jesus?
No, was not raised in the church. Well, kind of. We'll call it, like, I like to say it's Jesus adjacent. So up through like fifth grade, so through elementary school, we went to a very traditional church, but we didn't talk about Jesus in the house. If you were to ask about God, you get the response of like, "Hey, faith is like, that is incredibly personal," which is true. It's meant to be personal. It's just not meant to be private. But in our house it was, which led us trying to figure this whole thing out on our own. Ultimately, middle school, we moved away. We didn't have to go to church anymore, and so we stopped. And that really started a struggle for me because Jesus was never the theme. Like he was always just kind of, we just showed up to church on Sunday. There wasn't a relationship. And in my whole life, I have a twin brother, little brother and little sister, but having a twin specifically, we competed in everything. So like it was all like, because I knew if I wanted attention and I wanted to have value, or at least this is what I believed, then I need to score the touchdown, get the girlfriend, get the GPA, get the scholarship, whatever. And the problem with that is it's not a very fulfilling lifestyle or mindset, because as soon as you get one thing, I had to get the next. And so I was doing really well in the eyes of me, right? In the eyes of what I thought I had to offer the world. And all this while, I translated this onto God. Because again, I didn't understand the gospel, had not placed my faith in Jesus. We weren't talking about it in the home. And so I just assumed that I needed to have a really, really, really nice resume to present to God and say, man, look how awesome I am. Like, of course you want to be in relationship with me. I'm legit. Problem is, one, that's like the opposite of the gospel. And two, what happens when your resume goes away, which is what happened. Like I fell into alcoholism and my world orbited that scene for a few years. And when that happened, I was surrounded by people who didn't care about sports and didn't care about school and didn't care about all the things that I thought gave me value. And so I stopped worrying about those. So effectively, what I did was I took my resume and I lit it on fire, which turned out to be a really good thing, because it wasn't until I got to the end of myself where I had lit up all my relationships like they were firewood. I had burned my resume. I had torn the whole house down to the studs, and then realized, man, hold on, like clearly I'm the problem, because I was the like perpetual victim. I was like all y'all are the problem. I'm doing the best I can. You don't understand me. And it wasn't until I realized, like, hey, no, like I am the common denominator in every issue that I have. And if I am the problem, I certainly can't be the answer. And then, so that led this pursuit of trying to figure out who God is. And I looked at several religions, trying to figure out, well, what's the most credible? What has the most evidence? What points to truth? Because I don't want what feels good. I want what's accurate.
Yeah.
And overwhelmingly, when I looked at the evidence for the resurrection, I was blown away. I was like, okay, I'm in. Don't know what this means, but I'm in on Jesus was real. Now what? Started a 2-year floundering process for me, where I'm plugged into 3 churches, which, miracle, fun fact, you can't be plugged into 3 churches. It's not possible. But I didn't know what I was doing. I was just trying. And over those 2 years, I say the only thing that grew in me, because it wasn't my maturity, the only thing that grew in me was my hunger. Like I was just desperate to know who he was. And I remember this like it was yesterday. I was driving home from an AA meeting and just got convicted. And it was like the first time that I can like really remember like the Holy Spirit coming upon me. Not indwelling me, hadn't placed my faith in Jesus yet, but like coming upon me. And I was just like, I have to call this girl right now and ask for forgiveness. And it was a girl that I just acted like a tool toward, and I was a jerk. So I called her. I said, like, hey, Ashlyn, like I got to let you know, like the way that I treated you was not okay, and it was fully on me. Will you please forgive me? And she was super gracious. And then for whatever reason, the Holy Spirit was just moving, and I was like, hey, I got to tell you this too. There is a light in you, and I know for a fact I don't have it. Like, what do I need to do? And she walked through the gospel with me, and she took the time to hear my testimony and help me figure out like what is actually having it. Because she asked me, what's your relationship with Jesus like? And I was like, I don't even know how to answer that question. Like, what does that mean? And she just unpacked it for me in this way that I don't want to say I had never heard before. I'm sure other people had attempted, but I was finally in a place where I was just desperate to know him, and placed my faith in Jesus that day, and it changed everything. And it was a slow process. I mean, the first 3 months was a lot of like me stumbling forward, trying to figure it out. But but it started this walk with Jesus that I'm still on today. And it started in a moment with a random girl who I had had needed to ask forgiveness of.
Well, shout out to her, man. Shout out to her. And look, being
Yeah, she's crushing it in ministry. She's doing great.
awesome. Yeah, like look, being a vessel, and that's why, I guess that's why it's so important for each one of us to be, not just say ready, but then also just be on your journey with the Lord, like so you can be used by Him to, reach the next person. I know I say this often on here, so here it is again, y'all. Sorry, but I'm like, I just see over and over again how much power there is in one to one. When in this world where we're like,
Yep.
the followers, the subscribers, you need millions to get the, influence or whatever, like that. You could really just have conversation with one person, help disciple one person, and you never know, you know what I mean, what that's going to do. But the impact that it has on that person is unmatched, I believe so. I mean, I have no clue what God is even really fully doing with what I do here online, or even what I do at the church with the kids, and all these different things. And it's nice to see fruit every now and then. Don't get me wrong, to, get subscribers or whatever, or get the the kid that comes and be like, "Hey, Miss Miracle," and hugs you and stuff. All of that stuff is good confirmations and stuff of the work, but again, I guess this once you build that relationship with Christ yourself, then it gets beyond that. Then I guess you'll just understand that it's not even about any of that at the end of the day. It's about just being in the right place at the right for that time, and willing to do the right thing, I guess. So yeah, man, I'm glad to hear that. Your journey obviously has led to this awesome, wonderful place. Again, lead pastorship is amazing and stuff. I'm sure there's a lot to tell us there, but I mean, authoring and whatnot as well. So I mean, feel free. You can feel free to talk about whatever you want to talk about. I mean, I know we've been just chatting about all kinds of stuff. You probably like, man,
Sure. Hey, this is what I do. Like, I love it. So I'm in. Like, hopefully there's some good equipping pieces out there, because that's really my heartbeat, is equipping disciples to be disciple makers wherever they are. So this conversation's great. You okay with me talking about the book real quick?
Hey, yes, sir.
So my heartbeat has always been, especially in ministry, over the last 10 years, I've been a part of something called the Relational Discipleship Network, which is this network of churches really trying to make discipleship ingrained within culture. Like, it's going to be disciples leading and raising up disciples who lead and raise up disciples, which is the model of the church, right? You look at the book of Acts, that's what it was about. And if disciples didn't make disciples, we wouldn't be here today. So in my conversations in various trainings and leading different conferences, I've had an unbelievable amount of church leaders come up to me and say, "Hey, our church is crushing it for discipleship. Like, we've got adults discipling other adults, and it's like, man, it's blowing our minds. But we have no idea, how does this infiltrate the home?" Because God's plan A for discipleship was the home, was parents intentionally discipling their kids and leading them into maturity. And I think that that's one of the areas that, as believers, we feel the least equipped, as well as it's a place that kind of, like, the less equipped I feel at doing something, the more likely I am to kind of put that on the back burner and not worry about it, or maybe to delegate it and say, okay, well, hey, that's the role of the church. So I'm going to go, like, kids ministry. Miracle leads kids ministry. Like, we'll send her to Miracle. We'll send him to Miracle. And the reality is, like, the church was designed to partner with parents, but the role of discipling your kids, like, that's a parental role. So that's kind of like the birthplace of this book, where I started having conversations with Matt Nations, my co-author. He's an executive pastor at a church in Florida. And we're having this dialogue around, man, like, we need to, like, give something practical to parents. Like, we got to figure out, how do we give a resource that's not miserable to read? Because, like, we don't want it to be a textbook. We want young parents to be able to have fun, laugh, but also have these resources that they can say, okay, I've got this resource. Let's put this into practice today. And so taking model of Jesus, what he did, what we see throughout scripture, what he did with his disciples, and scaling that into the home is the heartbeat of this book. It's called Parenting Against the Current, Taking Back Discipleship in Your Home. And it's aimed at equipping parents to be the disciple makers that they were created to be.
I love it. I mean, I need it. Shoot. I was thinking, right now, and it's so interesting this path that we're on. Like, long story short, we pretty much have him like in a virtual public school, which who knew that this would be a thing? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm
Yeah.
like, what the amazing things that are available these days. But and it's kind of like homeschool, I guess. But I'm not his teacher. I'm like, Lord, I don't know if I got to pay. Look, that's a whole conversation by itself. But I'm his, I guess, learning coach. But the fact that, I'm right there, I see what he's learning, I'm involved and all that type of stuff where I didn't know I was going to be this type of mom. Like, I thought I was just, I went to public school growing up, that type of thing. And
Sure.
so all of this is obviously new, but, there are still things where, of course he has, he's very personable. Like if I get in him right now, he'll take up the show. Like so I'm not worried about him socially or things like that. And with me being so involved in church and being there all the time and
Sure.
hundreds of kids, like he's good in that capacity. But it's like I didn't know I was going to be this type of mom, is what I'm saying. And then, but even so, even as much as I've tried to like make him aware of things or like have conversations with him and all these different type of things. And I mean, I think, he makes me feel like I'm doing some things right, because he'll just pray, for people, or he'll just
Wow.
talk, and say his affirmations, which is like Bible verses over his, stuff like that. And I'm like, I feel like I'm doing something right, but I'm sure, having, tools or resources to, assist with those things are what we all need as parents. Like even with all of that I'm doing, there's still things where it's like, okay, now, maybe, I thought I had a handle on this, but I don't know. Cause then,
Totally.
and so, yeah, like, definitely, I think what you're saying about ministry, either there's not discipleship happening at church or there is, like you said, in adults. But I could definitely see what you mean about, there being this gap there when it comes to again, parents with their kids, because again, they're sending them off to school, they're sending them off to like the
Totally.
ministry or whatever. And then and I know, like, for example, in our church, we'll send these little papers with them home and to be like, hey, do this with them this week or whatever. And who knows if they're actually doing it or not, hopefully
Totally.
they are, but that type of thing. So yeah, it's needed across the board. I think probably even more discipleship is needed for the adults too, but we don't focus on what your book's talking talking about, unless I just helped you. Look, part 2. You know what I'm saying? You're welcome. You can put me in
Come on.
the thank you. But yeah, we need that adult book too, probably. But
Oh yeah.
yeah, the parents definitely. We need to be. I feel pretty good about being involved in my son's education in the way that we are, even though I didn't know I was going to be like this, and I, obviously didn't know about these opportunities and stuff growing up and stuff. But the fact that they are available now, and so with the way I feel about the education side, like it should be the same, even more so with the spiritual side
Oh
and
yeah.
stuff. So it sounds like you created an awesome resource to help with that.
Yeah, I think one of the tensions, Miracle, is that like when your kids are born, you're just trying to survive. Like let's be real. Like I just want to keep my head above water. I want to tread. I don't want to drown. Problem is, if you're in a current and you're treading water, you're being taken by it. And there is a current to this world that is pulling parents away from the intentionality that we're meant to press into. And the current could be as simple as being busy or being exhausted, which is real. And then you just give your family the leftovers, or maybe you're a little more passive, and like the current is real. And so what I have found, and a resource that I can give your listeners, like you don't even need the book at this point. Like this is the whole key to the whole solution, but it's too important to miss. Rather than treading water, we need to be destination parents. We need to have a destination in mind that I'm leading my family to, because otherwise I'm not pushing against the current. And if I am, I'm not doing it with intentionality. And so for my family, Jennie and I, we've had a number of discussions around this, and we've got a destination. It's 3 parts. It's we want our kids to love God, love others, and enjoy us. And the last one being when they don't have to be around us, we still want them to want to be around us. And so because that's our destination, that is the filter by which we decide anything that we're going to do. Do we have dinner together every night? Well, yes, because that's a part of the destination that we're moving towards. Do we like take part in a biblical community? Yes. And you might be like, well, Josh, you're a pastor. That's cheating. Well, we did it before I was a pastor, so it's fine. That's moving towards the destination that we're aiming at. Am I a soccer coach? Even though I had never played soccer, played every other sport but soccer. Yes, because that's what my daughter is doing, and I'm going to help move in that direction. And then on the same token, are there good things that, like, are we doing ballet right now? No, because we don't want to overdo our schedule. And so our daughter gets to do one extracurricular that we're involved in. That's soccer. And that's because we've got a destination. And if we get too busy, we busy Jesus right out of our schedules, and we won't do that. And so for us, having a clearly defined destination and using that as the filter by which we determine everything that we do and everything that we don't do is essential. And it's a key ingredient, I would say. It's not the end all be all. There's a lot of steps in the process of intentionality. But step one is there has to be a destination. And if you're parenting with another parent, so husband and wife together, you need to be united in that, because if you're trying to split the canoe and head in different directions, it's not a good plan. And so having a dialogue around what's the destination that we're heading towards is important.
That is awesome, man. Yeah, I love the intentionality of everything you said, and even with like, bringing up the fact that like, okay, we're making sure we're being intentional about these different aspects, and then not adding on too much, um, and stuff like that. I mean, even recently we were debating about whether we were gonna continue because he just finished his kindergarten year, at this first school, for example, and well, this is what happened, and we were just trying to decide whether we were gonna, uh, go a different route, and stuff like that, and then we decided that it seems like this route is doing well for us and what we have going on and stuff like that. And so let's continue and things like that. And so, and again, I know it may look different from other people. And I know even what you just said may look different from other people in their life. They're like, oh, well, how are you able to do that? Because we have all, we have to have multiple things or whatever. Um, but knowing that, okay, each family obviously can, work on what that looks like for you or whatever, but
Sure.
not having to say that like, what we have going on is enough or not enough or that type of thing. I think again, like you said, building that what you and your household is going to do. It's just such a beautiful thing to live out, because then it's like, I don't know, I don't know if it's keeping up with the Joneses that we do, or I don't know what it is, but a lot of times, and don't get me wrong, I'm a thinker, so I'm often thinking about like, with the choice that we made it last week and whatnot. I'm like, well, am I making the right decision? Like, I want to make sure, Lord, is this you? And all that
Sure.
type of stuff. I don't want to feel like I'm like keeping him away from something, but it's so funny. Like anytime I talk to him, I'm like, you think you might want to go to regular school one day? And he's like, I don't want regular. I'm like, you don't even know what it is, like to say you don't like. But I hate it. You're like, you don't even hate it. How you know? You don't know nothing about it. But so I guess those doubt and fears try to come and creep in every now and then when you're on this path and when you know that you built this solid foundation, but at the same time you still like, is this right? Is this okay? Is this? I don't know if your book tackles that at all, but I mean, if you have some wisdom to bestow on those people that may be like in that place of like, but am I doing the right thing though? Or
Yeah. Well, I think that is a really healthy tension point for us to live in, is hey, God, is this your will? Because if I'm not asking that question, I'm probably not moving in his will. So it's a really important question, not to be insecure in it,
yeah.
but to ask him regularly, like, hey, is this where you have me, where you have us as a family? I think it's important. I would say there's a couple pieces that I would point parents towards. One, I've got an entire chapter in the book called "It Takes a Village to Raise a Parent," because it does. Like trying to figure this out on your own is, this is going to sound harsher than I mean it to be. It's foolish. It's not wise for me to try to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to figure this out on my own. Like that's how drowning victims happen. Like let someone cast you a buoy, like let somebody pull you into their canoe. And so for me, it's like have a community around you of other parents, some in your life stage. But I think we hyper exaggerate that one. We get a lot of people in our life stage, and that's where we kind of like group off, but also looking ahead, like who is a parent that is further ahead than me, that is moving in the same direction, headed towards the same destination, and how can they speak into my life? I've got this mission that I like. I've got this goal of, there's a phrase that is so common, and I just want it to die. Like it's my goal in life right now, and it goes like this: don't tell me how to parent my kids. Like it happens, we say it all the time, and it's like, man, like if you, I'm not saying go to the grocery store and start giving parenting advice to the stranger in aisle 3. Not saying that. Don't be that person. But if you have a relationship with me and you see a gap in my parenting, a gap in my walk with Jesus, a gap in my role just as a disciple or a husband, whatever, as a pastor, I expect you to bring that to me in a honoring, caring, respectful way, because you're not working against me in that moment. You're pointing me to what victory could look like. Now, I might not agree with you. Not all kids are the same. Like our 2 kiddos, we've got one that like she needs extreme gentleness, which I'm not a gentle human being. So that's a whole process for me. But she needs gentleness and care. And then I've got a son who is just a one-man wrecking ball. Like he is just ready to conquer the universe. And I'm here trying to say, hey, slow down. And so they need radically different things. So it might not be advice or counsel that you necessarily need to take, but I need to have parents in my life who are further ahead, that are able to speak into my parenting and guide me. One of the things that I did before our daughter Lilla was born, so she's our firstborn, before she was born, I was a part of a young adults ministry. And so I would find young adults who were on fire for Jesus, and I'd go up to them and I'd say, hey, I need your parents' phone number. Like I need to get in contact with your parents because I need to know what they did. And I met with them and I said, hey, what were the pitfalls? What were the things that you did right? What do you wish you could do differently? And I asked them, and they spoke into my parenting before I was even a dad. And that really set a cadence for me. Not that all their answers were like perfect fits for our relationship with our kids, but it set up a cadence for me of not being afraid of feedback, but inviting it. Because there's also a difference between like being okay with feedback and seeking it out. And I would say a really wise parent is seeking out counsel and trying to bring that in. Part of writing this book was saying, hey, I don't have all the answers. I've never been a single parent. I've never parented in a blended family or had to co-parent after a divorce. Like I've never navigated that. And so getting other parents to speak into that so that we could have healthy, helpful insights for parents of all dynamics, or at least all the dynamics that we could come up with, and really make it practical for everybody. Parenting alone isn't just hard, it's bad. And we need to have a community around us to help us figure out like, hey, is this God's will? I don't know. Seek counsel. Like scripture all the time says, seek wise counsel. And so I want to do that from faithful people that are in relationship with my family. And at the same time, what our kids see is they see that rhythm too. Like I'm modeling for them. And so my daughter needs other adults, and other kids, but like grain of salt there, they're kids too. But like that she can see counsel from that are outside of her parents. Now we should be the primary place that she goes to, and we are. But as our kids get older, that shifts. As they become teenagers, like they're going to start seeking counsel from other people. And I want them to have a clearly defined way to figure out who they should go to at that point.
That's good. That's good. Look, so much wisdom. Look, I mean, I would assume so from the lead. I'm sorry, I keep making these lead pastor jokes. But
I mess up more than most. I'll tell you that. Like the whole book is just like, hey, I messed this up. Don't mess up with the way that I did. So like it's yeah, I mess up all the time. It's my superpower.
Hey, well, it sounds like you have some great things going on. And I mean, I know I can sit here and talk to you probably all day, but I know you probably got more things to do and things like that. But I would love for you to, share with the people where can we, find a book? Where can we reach out to you if needs be? And
Yeah.
anything else you would like to share with us? Any more words of wisdom about anything? Feel free.
Yeah. So you can find us at parentingagainstthecurrent.com. You can also find us on Instagram and Facebook at Parenting Against the Current. You can buy the book on Amazon. It's Kindle, paperback, and Audible, because I know that parents, we read while driving half the time. So wanted to make sure we had a way to do that. The last thing that I would want parents to hear, because I think the parenting conversation specifically, it may be into the unoffendable conversation too, but definitely with parenting. When we're given resources, it can really feel like, wow, I'm failing. Like I've messed my kids up. Like it's my fault. And here's what I want you to hear is if you're a parent and you're wrestling through, how do I intentionally lead my family? You are exactly where you're supposed to be. Like that is a beautiful place to be. Like discipling your kids, the best time to disciple your kids was yesterday. The second best time is right now. And so don't let lies sneak in where you carry more than you need to. Just have a healthy conviction that we are meant to move upstream. And I mean that sincerely. Like us as parents, we're all meant to be pushing upstream against the current. And don't let where you were yesterday hinder you today. You're exactly where you're meant to be. Let's push forward and upstream together.
That is so awesome. I appreciate you taking out your time with me, Mr. Poteet, or look, Pastor Poteet. Should I say that, Reverend?
Just Josh is fine. Josh is fine.
Nah. Awesome. Well, I mean, God bless you and your ministry, and thank you so much for visiting us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for watching the GSL Talk Show. And thank you to Mr. Josh, Reverend Josh, Brother Josh, Pastor Josh for joining us tonight. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and check out his book and the rest of his endeavors. Have a good night.